Hello, everybody. I am Row2501, and we have a bit of a different video, I guess you could say, this time in that one. This is Dante's Inferno from the Xbox 360. It's backwards compatible on Xbox One. The other thing that you may notice is the music volume compared to mine is about the same or louder, and that's because you can't actually turn down the volume in this game for the music, like, at all. So instead of me doing narration while there's combat, I'll do a tiny bit and then do the combat, and then there's a break where I can do more. So the narration will come in bits after bits of gameplay. And we'll let the story bits go by so you can see it. It's really pretty.
At the midpoint on the journey of life, I found myself in a dark forest, for the clear path was lost.
Yes, just in case you're wondering, he sewed a piece of cloth to his chest in the shape of a cross.
What kind of man locks up helpless women? There will be a day of reckoning, Crusader!
My family, my baby's gone!
So yes, this is Dante's Inferno, Xbox 360 backwards compatible, and so the thing about this game is when it came out on 360, a lot of people were like just claiming or saying that it was a clone of Devil May Cry or God of War because of the third-person action swing a weapon style of game. But those who played it and know it know that it's far from that. It's its own spectacular game that was, in my opinion, bastard hard. The difficulty setting for this game was not playing around, even on the normal level. As you could see from that mob that I just went through a moment ago, you know, those guys, there were tons of them, and I mean, they just kept coming. It is easy to die from the normal mobs in this game as it is from bosses or mid-levels or anything of that nature. The other thing this game does immediately after it starts is it throws a ridiculously hard boss fight in the form of the Grim Reaper.
Dante, your fate is decided. Everlasting damnation for your sins.
But that's not possible. The bishop assured us.
Come, face eternity. Soon you'll be joined by those whose lives you have ruined, whose souls you have damned.
I will not let my sins damn those dear to me. I will redeem myself.
Mortal, you are mine.
So something else you should know about this game, because of its difficulty level, they didn't want to stifle that in any way, shape, or form by making it easy, by giving you, you know, checkpoints and things like that. So in that opening section I just went through, and in this fight, which is a boss fight, mind you, only 7 minutes into the game, if you lose here, you have to start the whole game over again. There was no saving, there was no auto-saving, all the saves were manual. So if you didn't beat him, you started the whole game over again. And he's thoroughly kicking my ass right now. Totally forgot how to fight him. It's been, I'd say, about 8 years since I played this game. There's a fairly good reason that it's been about 8 years since I played. And that's because in my first encounter, let's say, with the Dante's Inferno, I actually did make it all the way to the last boss. You know,
How dare you resist me, mortal?
made it through crazy puzzles, mobs, you know, this ridiculously hard enemies, all of it. Last boss, and because of the way the progression system in the game is, I made the grievous error of not putting points into the weapon. I only put points into what is like the magic of the game. So when I got to the last boss,
You cannot win this.
I wasn't able to do enough damage to the last boss to kill him. So, you know, literally I tried over and over and over again for like a month. And one of my best friends ever in the world, whose codename is Roast, and his wife, Raptor, they have codenames because they're awesome, they witnessed it, like beginning to end. They saw him get all the way to the last boss and be able to complete it. I would have had to have started the whole game all over again, like all of it. Delete save, and, you know, first second. Start over. That's how hardcore Dante's Inferno was. And that's one of the things that, you know, separated it from God of War and Dante's Infernos and other games of its like. It genuinely stood on its own as just a fantastic game, but also because of its difficulty. Not to mention its art style.
Back away.
So that weapon that I was talking about, the one that I didn't put points into for me to kill the last boss, that would be this scythe.
Please.
Little did I know, because, you know, I didn't have the internet like that back then, I didn't know I needed to put points into that weapon to defeat the last boss, as opposed to just putting points into the magic. So when I got there, sorry, start the game over again, and good luck. When that happened, I put the game down, and I hadn't played it since until right now, and that was about 8 years ago. So it's one of those things that I wasn't about to start over again. Although it was a fantastic
The
game.
bishop said our cause was holy. Holy had nothing to do with it. After 3 years of the cold hatred with which that savage war fed itself, I longed for the warmth of my devoted Beatrice, for the chance to redeem the past, to start again. No. Beatrice?
I told him you would come for me.
Beatrice!
I have to go with him, my love. I gave my word.
Beatrice!
So here's the progression system or the upgrade that I was talking about a moment ago. I had put all the points into the holy side, which is like the magic, and it made killing the regular enemies, the mobs, a lot easier, like way easier. But you needed to put points into the unholy side, which was the scythe, do enough damage to defeat the last boss. And I barely had anything in there. I'd almost filled out the holy side. And, you know, since you get the XP or the souls or whatever from the enemies you kill along the way, there was no going back to just, you know, kill more of them to level up the weapon to its proper strength. So that's where I ran into my dilemma. There were also like you see relics, magics, and other things like that to help you along the way, but none of that stuff could help kill the boss. It was just, I had to start over again. So yeah, 8 years. But beyond that, gonna be slight nerdy, I guess you could say, and just give you a brief history of Dante's Inferno itself. For those who may not know, it was a book that was part of a trilogy that was written back in the 15th, 16th century by a guy named Dante Alighieri. So basically the game is, you know, Dante, the guy who wrote the book, as the main character. So loosely based on the book, mind you. The crazy thing about when he wrote it was he didn't write it in the language that was mostly spoken back then. He wrote it in the Tuscan language, which, you know, then became the language of Italy. The other thing is it took him something like 8 years to write all 3 books because he wrote it pretty much like a poem. So if you ever read it, it doesn't read like a normal book. It's fantastic, by the way. The book itself, it basically tells the journey of Dante himself, who gets guided through all the levels of hell so he can see what they're like for himself to, you know, let everyone know. So each, you know, he described each level in detail, the suffering you went through when you were in that level and what you did to get there. Beyond that, you know, Dante in real life didn't sew a cross-shaped article onto his chest and fight the Grim Reaper, but it's still super awesome. So the other thing that I had mentioned earlier about manual saves, between the time I started the game until right about now, there's no checkpoints, and this was the first time you could manually save. And that just added to the specialness, I guess you could say, of the game. It gave it that real hard flavor, so to speak. Very unforgiving. I always like to tell people it's just as easy to die from the normal mobs in this game as it is the bosses, which are all unique and quite horrendous, by the way.
Why, Dante? Why did you break your promise?
I don't understand. The beast has turned me back. Help me before my pulse and veins tremble. By all that is holy, I vow to forsake all pleasures of the flesh until I return from this noble crusade.
I gave myself to you because I know you will be faithful to our love.
Mercenaries of Florentina, in payment for taking the cross to reclaim the Holy Land, your immaculate father hereby absolves you of all your sins.
this point forward, you descend from like Earth down into the beginning levels of hell, and it just goes down and down and down. It gets quite ugly. But this pretty little effect, this cross that's flying outward, that's what I put on my points. When you leveled it quite high, it was really easy to kill. Oh my god, I almost died. It was easy to kill the mobs because it basically covered the screen in those crosses. One of the other things this game liked to do was throw lots of little environments, I guess you could say, your way. Like ground fell away. It continues to fall away. And if you're standing there, you die and start the save. Not a checkpoint, the save. There were lots and lots of parts like that. The other really fun thing about Dante's Inferno is it gives you a dodge, which is really... it's actually an awesome dodge. It does its job well. However, the dodge was a double-edged sword, you could say, because the game will quite easily let you dodge right off a cliff to your death. So yeah, you had to pay attention even for that. And here's some more of those little environmental dangers I was talking about. This wheel is about to crush me. I gotta kill these guys quickly. Oh, there it is. Ah, missed the guy. Here's the next part. Much like you would think a journey to hell to be, it was harrowing. There's lots of little things that even just things. And one more example of just that coming right up. Besides these cool enemies that can only be hit. Oh! Hit him with holy. They always strike cool poses when you do. This is super fight mode. Most of these types of games have these for basically ultimate power that lets you move, strike, do more damage type of thing. And that's what was. I always refer to it as super fight mode. Some are the giant pillars of flame that are boxing me in. And because, you know, it's the starting layer of hell, hell doesn't even forgive itself, and it does damage to the enemies, as well as you. But yeah, this is just a brief taste of what this game is. If you've never played it, and you have the EA subscription, $10, and you like these third-person type of action games, this is definitely, in my opinion, like one of the top 10 Xbox 360 games that was ever released. It's hard, yet fun and satisfying, especially like as you're killing the enemies. You get huge combos if you do it right. All the bosses were unique and horrendous looking. Overall, it's very own unique thing. If you never played it, totally give it a try. It's not super expensive, but also you get a fine satisfaction of having beaten the devil in the end, which isn't a spoiler because, you know, you're in hell. Anyway, I guess, you know, watch out for demons and falling rocks and stuff that are like right there in front of me. And hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.